this afternoon. A lot of people have been talking, especially in my comments section on Midday News lately, about the way that we do elections in Okaloosa County, in the sense
Yeah.
that how we elect our leaders. So a lot of people are, I would say sour grapes is probably a fair term, especially when it comes to the third district, wanting to see people elect only the commissioner that represents their district.
Ah, yeah.
And we have some of that in some cities around the state. We have some of that, I would imagine, some of the counties around the state where
Yeah.
you only vote for one representative. And I think that's something that merits a conversation, because we don't really discuss it a whole lot. But I can tell you right now up front, the change to a charter, it requires a plebiscite, a referendum vote,
Yeah.
at least.
That's a good word.
And so, yeah, plebiscite. Isn't that fun?
No,
From
I
plebeian.
don't even want to try to say
No
it.
more Latin? Anyway, so to say that, it would be a long, drawn-out process, but what would the benefits and the costs be?
Well, I think so this is a super interesting topic. I think, especially over the last 40 years, the various needs of the county differ significantly.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that live in the northern part of Okaloosa County, their needs, desires, wants are very different from the southern side, right, in Destin proper. And so if you have folks that feel like they're not being represented appropriately because people from the south side are voting for the people from the north side representation, then I think that starts to become a problem. And I don't know if it's time to redraw the lines or how difficult that is either. But
That is much easier, because that happens with the census every 10 years.
So that's cool.
So-
I think it's definitely something that should be looked at, because if you have a populace that's deciding a small geographic region that's deciding for a larger region, that starts to become a problem. At the national level, we've tried to electoral college our way out of those challenges. We don't really have an equivalent at the county level.
Yeah. And the thing I like about it, right, is that you have somebody that's completely self-interested in your district,
Yeah.
not necessarily looking everywhere to see where all the votes are coming from. I think that's a strong reason to do it.
Yeah.
On the converse, it does make it really hard to build consensus and move forward on things. So, for example, in Crestview, they have kind of a hybrid model.
Yeah.
So you have 3 commissioners that are elected three city council people that are elected geographically, 3 wards,
Yeah.
and then you have 2 at-large seats. And actually, not to completely nerd out on you guys, but in my master's thesis, where I say that we should merge the cities of Niceville and Valparaiso, still believe that, by the way, with all my heart.
And Blue Water Bay, don't we?
And well, yeah, and I would also like to have Blue Water Bay, but that's kind of like step 2.
We should get it before Destin does.
Yeah, we see you, Bobby Wagner. We see you. We know.
Just saying.
No, but in all seriousness, it's something worth having. That's why I want it.
Yeah.
But the at-large mixed model makes a lot of sense for Valparaiso and Niceville,
Yeah.
because Valparaiso, the big reason they would not want to merge is because they don't want to lose
The representation.
some representation, right? And so if you guarantee them a certain amount of seats on the council, then you eliminate that issue. Same thing with the county commission. I think if you have, there are, for example, Palm Beach County has 9 commissioners, or 7. I think they have 7 commissioners, and I think 5 of them are geographically elected, 2 of them are at large.
Yeah.
And
I think that seems like a good balanced way to do it.
I think that's an option to look at, but I do also think that the pure geographic model makes a lot of sense too. If you look at the national scene, right? You look
Yeah.
at the Senate, for example. I mean, the people in Delaware definitely get their representation. People in Wyoming definitely get their representation.
That's right. Yeah.
People in Texas and California and New York and Florida may have something to say about that, and that's why we have a Congress 2-body system. But I think it's a good discussion to have, and if you guys are out there listening and commenting and tearing your hair out and screaming at us, no, that's a dumb idea, don't do it, we get that. But do put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys, and put it on the comment section next week, because I think it's, like Paul said, it's an issue worth exploring. And, that's the great thing about a republic, is that we can change the rules whenever it suits us and a majority of people agree, or a super majority of people agree. I mean, that's why we have amendments to the Constitution. That's why we have plebiscites every couple of years.
Go ahead and say it one more time.
Plebiscites.
Well, just like Christopher said, I think there's something to be looked at there, and leave a comment if you have an idea that you think would work. We obviously love your comments in general because we go over them at the beginning of every show.
Yeah.
So please do that. Oh, and follow us on YouTube and other places too.
YouTube, we're on the Can you smash like right there in the face right there? Just smash that subscribe button. Anyway,
what other stories?
Other stories to look at from this past week. Lewis School has new bleachers and had their first home game in at least 40 years, if not ever. Nobody can remember past that, but everybody I talked to was like, this is the first home game ever. I can't confirm that independently, so I'm not going to say first ever, but I'm going to say first that anybody can remember.
That's fair. I mean, I think it's really cool that they got they have a home field advantage now, which is amazing. Lewis is a great school in our community. I know sometimes it plays second fiddle to Ruckle, who gets a lot more publicity. But we see you, Lewis, and we love you too. And I think it's great that they have this, and it was a great use of funds, to pump up some school spirit and have that opportunity. And Ruckle gets to play on Niceville's field, right?
Yeah.
So they don't have the same problem.
Well, to that end, right, Niceville's field gets probably, somebody told me once that it gets 200 uses a year.
Oh, yeah, it's insane how many events that happen.
And we talk about, the Howard Hill Soccer Complex and the Twin Oaks Complex more generally, how much use those fields get. So to get a new field in use somewhere else and take that strain off of the resources that are already being maxed, I think is something that maybe didn't come across my mind as a Niceville resident at first blush, but
I didn't think about that either until you just said it. I mean, I guess there's another opportunity for use of that field. I mean, is Lewis going to allow that? I would assume they would for the betterment of the community.
Worst case scenario, if Lewis plays every single one of their athletic competitions on that field, that takes some strain off of Niceville High School Stadium, Twin Oaks, all the other parks around the area.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I, as a Niceville resident, selfishly am very excited about this because that means that we get a little bit more use, a little bit more wear and tear out of the facilities that we have now while we look to the Air Force. Hey, guys. To look at that lease agreement. Hi, guys.
I'm sure it'll get done.
And go ahead and sign that. Thank you.
Yeah. But no, I saw your interview with Coach Adron. That was really cool. And there was a good turnout by city.
500 people at a middle school football game.
There was a good turnout for that, and just the number of officials that from Okaloosa schools and from just the surrounding community that showed up. It was really cool to see.
Yeah. Moving on, drug bust as of we are recording on Thursday, so this happened Wednesday morning. 4 individuals arrested for possession of, among other things, according to the release that the sheriff's office put out, fentanyl and cocaine. And
it's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine. It is indeed a hell of a drug, according to witnesses at the scene. I guess.
Where was this bust at?
So it's on Goldenrod Court. So if you draw a mental map, if everybody knows where the McDonald's is, everybody got the McDonald's in your mind?
Yeah.
All right, good. Now, if you're taking that road off of John Sims to the north, right, and you're going down, I believe that's Juniper?
Juniper, yeah.
Yeah. You go down Juniper before you get to the Oaks, but past the Huff homes, you would take a right, and then on that right would be, I think it's Rhonda and then Goldenrod.
All right, we'll get that out of our community.
So, yeah, one step at a time. But a lot of people involved in this one, a lot of agencies. So you had, of course, Niceville Police, then you had Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office, then you had Crestview PD, and I believe Fort Walton Beach PD also worked on this. So it seems like it's a pretty significant one, and it looks like that cooperation agreement that they've all put in to put a drug gang task force has very much outlived. I believe Chief Popwell had a major hand in that, and so to see that live past his departure from the department is exciting, and glad to see that we have that level of coordination.
Yep, and I know people that live back there, so I'm sure they're super happy that those folks are out of the community.
Yeah, it turns out that I feel like those, it's not like a big surprise to anybody when there's a huge drug raid on a house.
Right.
Like
People
none of the neighbors are like, "What? In my neighborhood?"
I'm so surprised.
Like no one's like that. Everybody's like, "Yeah, that's the drug house."
Right. And we've been talking about them for months, years, whatever.
Exactly. And so, cool to see that happen, and also glad that nobody's hurt.
Yep.
Coming up this week, we have, of course, our football pre-cap with Heath Rominger of Rominger's Renovations. That'll be taking place on Friday around 3 o'clock. We're going to be talking about all of the games that we're going to see in the high school area, as well as the highlight game, which is Niceville Pine Forest at Niceville this week.
Heath might be better on air than I am.
Heath is like dynamic, dude.
He's pretty good.
Like he is great, and I wasn't surprised that he was good. But like just how much better he is than me makes me viscerally uncomfortable. Heath, don't take my job.
Yeah, Heath, I want to go get coffee or lunch with you soon. So let's
very good. So I will hook you guys up after the show.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we will let's just do like 2 picks. You want to do like 2 picks that we disagreed on?
I mean, fine.
All right, very good. So we have our pick board, which will be up on Friday. You guys will see it. And I think the one big disagreement we had on the high school level was the Choctaw-Crestview game. And so, Paul, walk me through your logic on this one.
I mean, I would like to see Crestview do well. I always like to see them do well. I know they hate Niceville with a passion, but I would like to see them do well. And I think, Choctaw's on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
And Crestview's had a tough start to the season just from a scoring perspective. And,
yes.
But yeah, I would like to see them win. So I'm picking you guys.
And so Crestview has had a couple of, so their Milton game, they really crushed it. Walton, though, and Walton's kind of a sneaky opponent because Walton has a great quarterback and a very good team for a team playing a classification 2 or 2 down from Crestview. Crestview got the win, escaped in Crestview with the win, 28-21. So not the greatest performance on paper when you see, but I guarantee you they will be ready to play Choctaw. Yep. Because Choctaw came out and beat Navarre 35-0, beat them like a drum.
Yeah.
And Crestview can't have that happen, especially if they want to be in the conversation for a playoff spot. This is a game they're going to have to win. They either have to beat Choctaw or they got to beat Niceville.
So I guess maybe they are the underdog this week.
The under bulldog.
The under bulldog.
So,
Paul, tell them the other one. Tell them the other one that we're picking.
Which one? BYU SMU?
Yeah, because we're going to disagree on that one.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal, guys.
Is SMU back?
SMU's back. SMU's back with a passion for fashion. Not only do we have better uniforms than everybody else, we have better players than everybody else, and we have a better NIL deal than everybody else.
I think we've reached our quota of time to talk about SMU.
SMU is the greatest football team of all time.
That's not true.
It is true. They have 3 national championships.
That's not true.
It is true.
We'll see if they're back. They also have to play FSU this year.
That's right, in 2 weeks. But based on the trend.
We could talk about FSU next week. Let's see how they do. Let's see if they can get that first W.
Well, they're playing Memphis next week, and so they'll play Memphis and then us, and then we are playing TCU and then Florida State.
If FSU loses to Memphis, I think
it's over. You just pack it up. You don't even play the rest of the season.
They're going to be so happy.
And I say that as a guy, and I'm going to go ahead and pull a. See that right there?
Yeah.
See right there?
Every week I have to sit behind this.
That's my FSU critique card.
Yeah.
It's so that I can critique them.
Okay, for the record, I picked BYU. He picked SMU. We'll see how it goes this week.
SMU is the greatest school of all time. Thank you.
All right, tell them what's next.
Finally, we are looking into a lawsuit that was just filed in federal court against the city of Niceville by 2 former firefighters. They've told us a little bit about what's happened, what their claims are. They're seeking a lot of different things, including damages. They want employment reinstatement, and we've reached out to city people named in the lawsuit. I've gotten some answers back, but it is a long and in-depth and particularly technical story. So I'm working on it. But it's not something that I'm just going to throw out there because I do not want to be wrong on the details for this one.
Well, in a federal court, man, that's big. So we're going to be in the news for a while.
Yeah. So it's they essentially allege First Amendment and 14th Amendment violations by the city, and they name City Manager David Deitch in the lawsuit specifically. Yeah. First Amendment, of course, freedom of speech. 14th Amendment is equal protection under the law, so they're basically claiming that 2 of these individuals, a former battalion chief and a former fire lieutenant, were fired based on stuff that had to do with their union negotiations that took place and wrapped up, I believe, in February of this year, but they had really started in the previous summer. So there's a lot to go over, a lot of details, a lot of allegations, And so I want to make sure that it is right, it is fair, everybody gets a say, and they get to say their case in this if they wish, and then we'll have the story out, and you'll be able to judge for yourself, because I am not wading into that. Thanks, though.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big story for our community, but it's not big enough probably where a lot of other media outlets are going to cover it, so thank you, Christopher, for delving in deep enough and asking the right questions and trying to get a holistic view on it. And I hope the city will give you some sound bites and their thoughts and feelings on it. And we'll see how it plays out over time. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those where you're like, oh boy. So and shout out to my friend who knows who he is for tipping me off about this lawsuit earlier. I appreciate that, and that's all I have this week. Unless you want to talk a little bit more.
That is the show. No, that's it.
Well, you got to do the thing.
We have to do the thing.
You have to do the thing.
Be ready for the thing. Be nice, Niceville. Be nice, Niceville. See you guys next week. Peace.
I think that's the